are going to continue exactly where we left off. We're in the Zohar Parashat Emor, and we in page 88b. That's where we left off. And yesterday and the day before, we were talking about what happens to the person before they die and after they die. And very briefly to repeat, and we said that before the person dies, then 3 angels appear to the person. These are 3 messengers that come to take the soul to the Beit Din, to the heavenly court. And then of course comes the angel of death, Malach HaMavet, with a sword in his hand, and he doesn't cut the head off, chas v'shalom. Rather, he, so to say, dismantles the connection, the link that holds the elements together. Because we're all built from 4 elements. And the reason why we're able to exist is because the elements are together. And it's kind of like pulling the pin out, and all 4 elements, they separate. And each one goes to its source, and then the person, of course, dies. Then, once the person sees the Shekhinah, the neshama, the soul jumps out of the body. The reason why we were talking about that, because we were talking previously about the Kedusha, about the holiness that the Kohanim, they need to maintain. That's what the main part of this parasha talking about. It's mainly focusing on the Kedusha, on the purity that the Kohanim need to maintain, then the Levim, and then the rest of the nation. One of the ways for the Kohanim, for the priests to keep their Kedusha is not to touch a dead corpse. They're not allowed to touch any dead corpse. Unless in some situation it's the mother or the father, and the Torah goes with details, who are you allowed to touch? And needless to say, Kohen Gadol cannot touch anybody. But the Torah is focusing about the purity of the Kohanim. Later on, we're going to kind of summarize it, that it's not only talking about the Kohanim per se, it's talking about all of us. Because the first commandment that we got when Moshe Rabbeinu came out of the mountain, look in Parashat Vayitro, what does it say? Vayitim li mamlechet kohanim vegoy kadosh. You should be for me all a nation of priests and a holy goy. So it's also referring to all of us. But nevertheless, there is a prohibition that we're not allowed to keep a dead corpse out in the open and not bury it. This is called halanat hamet. This is a prohibition from the Torah that we have to give respect for a dead body and right away bury it. And if the chas v'shalom we don't do that, then there's 4 reasons why we don't do that. Yesterday we explained 3 of them, and today we're going to explain the 4th, and then we'll continue. I don't want to waste more time on repeating the class yesterday, but it's already online. You can go and look at it. But nevertheless, quickly we said that first of all, that it's not good because it's causing sorrow to the soul. Second thing is that sometimes the Kadosh Baruch Hu will take the soul from a person, the second the person dies, and right away puts it into another body. It reincarnates it right away. Not after a year or after 10,000 years, well, not 10,000, but sometimes it's right away. But the Kadosh Baruch Hu cannot do it unless the first body is buried. Once the first body is buried, then the soul can get a new body. More than that, we explained that there's a physical body and a spiritual body. Yesterday we explained about Eliyahu Navi, that he has 2 bodies. One body in this world, how he can appear to us, and one body in the world above, how he appears to angels. So in order for the soul to get the spiritual body, the physical body needs to be buried. And as long as there's no body, then the soul is out there vulnerable. But nevertheless, this is very briefly what we spoke in the last 2 days. You can go to the last classes and see them. But now we're just going to explain quickly the 4th reason why we're not allowed to leave a dead body without burial, and then from there we'll continue, if we have time, how is that to do with the purity of the Kohanim. So the 4th reason why we're not leaving a dead body goes as follows, and if you want to follow, we're on page 88b, in the middle. V'chol kama de gufa lo yitkabar, as long as the body is not buried, tza'arahu lenishmata, it's a great sorrow to the soul. Ve'ruach mesava is daman lesharya aloi, and evil spirit, I mean the way how the Zohar calls it is ruach tme'ah, is an impure spirit. I call it now an evil spirit so we can kind of relate with it. But this is what's called ruach tum'ah. Ruach, a spirit, but of impurity, of tum'ah. Now what happens? Impure spirit will come to this soul. So it says, "Veruach mesava is daman lesharia aloi." Evil spirit will come and dwell on this body. Ulesava lehu gufa, and it wants to go into this body, because an evil spirit doesn't have a body, not a spiritual body, not a physical body. So it wants to go into a body to get some quiet, some rest. And not only that, letameh et hagufo, to make the body impure. Uvegin dehahu ruach mesav ha'izdaman, and since this spirit of impurity is coming close to the body and it's ready to make the body impure, therefore la mebaile, we don't want to leave the body there, leinish lemivat hu gufa lelachad, not even one night to leave the body there by itself. I hope you didn't experience it in your life, and I hope you're not going to have to experience to lose a loved one. But when chas v'shalom and somebody dies, right away we call chevre kadisha, to take the body and to do tahara as fast as possible. One of the things that they do is they bring a certain individual and they call him shomer, a guard. Why? You put that person next to the body and the person sits there and reads Tehillim and learns Torah. Why? Because the body is right away subject to attack. By what? By these evil spirits that they need a body. Because an evil spirit or a spirit of impurity doesn't have a body. Now, that evil spirit is subject to all sorts of attacks from demons and other angels and spirits, and it needs a body to hide in. We spoke about before the class about Rabbi Chaim Vital. Rabbi Chaim Vital, the student of the Arizal, was known to be the Ghostbusters. And he was taken everywhere to crack the dibukim, the possessions. Now it's not so common in our generation. The Baal Shem Tov was able to annul most of it, but it was a very common thing, what's called a dibuk, that an evil spirit will go into somebody's body and possess the body. And there's a few books. I have one book that if you ever want to stay awake for 3 days, read the book. You're not going to want to go to sleep after reading this book. And why? Because it's all these crazy stories, how suddenly like a cat will go wild and scratch everybody, and there was an neshama there, and Rabbi Chaim Vital will come like as a lehavdil, an exorcist, and take the neshama out, and all these wacko stories, but real scary things. And literally, Rabbi Chaim Vital was the I call him the Ghostbusters. Why? Because all these demons and all these spooky stories, he would come and release these souls. There's another book called Ruchot Mesaprot, Spirits Are Talking. It's written by Rabbi Yehuda Petaya. I highly recommend to read this book. A little bit scary, but it kind of reveals to you what's going on around us. But nevertheless, in all these stories, there's one common denominator, that a spirit of impurity is vulnerable because it doesn't have a body, not a physical body and not a spiritual body. So demons, they want to hurt it. So this evil spirit will look constantly for a body to rest in it. Now, where do they find a body? Either of an animal. That's why sometimes you see these cuckoo animals. Or in a body that, chas v'shalom, is vulnerable to such a thing. That's why we have mezuzot on the doors. Why do we have a mezuzah? What's the main reasons? Because if you look at the mezuzah, it has 3 letters written on it on the back side. Shin Daled Yud. Shin Daled Yud is the acronym of Shomer Dlatot Israel, the guardian of the doors of Israel. And when you put a mezuzah on the door, nothing can come into the house if it's a kosher mezuzah. Very interestingly, this will keep maybe for a different class, the spirits, demons, evil spirits of impurity, they can only come through a door that is a doorpost. They can't come in through a window. So that's why we don't put mezuzot on windows. Not too long ago, somebody told me, why don't we put mezuzot on windows? So it says because the spirits can only come through a door. Mezuzah in Hebrew, by the way, is a doorpost. That's what they did in Mitzrayim. They had blood on the top, blood on the right, and blood on the left. We don't do that. We just put a mezuzah. But any doorpost in a shape of a chet, or even if the top is a little bit rounded, here there's a little bit of an argument in halakha if you still put a mezuzah. Sometimes you have these arched doors. But nevertheless, any gates that we have, you have to put a mezuzah. That's where they come in from. So I know the people, they put a mezuzah on the front door. That's not enough. You need to have mezuzot on the back door, on the garage door, any door. But nevertheless, we're not going to talk about now the halakha here, but important to have a mezuzah. Why? The mezuzah will keep any evil spirit from coming into the home. Another thing, how do I, chas v'shalom, can be affected is if I do a lot of sins. If I do a lot of sins, I'm subject to an attack from one of these evil spirits. So here he says, the second that the body is thrown on the ground and the soul left the body, right away these ruchot ra'ot, these spirits of impurity, they're looking like savages for bodies. Like a shark, you throw a little bit of blood in the water, right away the sharks come. They can smell blood for miles and they get there in minutes. Same thing here. These spirits, they smell a dead body that doesn't have a soul in it. Right away, they come and they surround the body. They want to get into the body. Therefore, you should not let the body stay there without burial for one night, not even one night. The night is when the spirits come out. Begin the ruach mesava ishtakach belela, because the spirit of impurity, it has control and power at night. During the day, it doesn't. And not because it's daylight, because there are two midot that controlling the day and the night. The day is controlled by the midah of chesed, of kindness, and at night is the midah of gvura. And physically, we see dark at night and light during the day, and you know what we attribute it? We attribute it to the sun. So we see the sun coming up from the east, and it's going down in the west. But this is only because spiritually, that's what happens. So it will manifest into the world, so we see it in a physical way. But really what happens, around 1 o'clock in the morning, and I'm saying around because every day it will change, this is called chatzot, then there's changing of the guards. The sfira of gvura starts diminishing, and the sfira of chesed starts empowering. That's why early in the morning, then this is corresponding to midat chesed. Where do we learn that? Vayashkem Avraham baboker. Avraham woke up early in the morning. Now, not that he was physically waking up early. Avraham is midat chesed. And when is midat chesed waking up? Vayashkem baboker, early in the morning at dawn. And at night, what do we say now? We're going to pray Arvit. What do we say? We're talking constantly about Yitzchak. Yitzchak was the Gvura, and the Gvura is when the midah of Gvura getting stronger. So we see it in the world as darkness, but that's just because the midah is becoming stronger. So at night, there's less chesed in the world, so we don't do certain things. You know, it's not good to give charity at night, for example. Unless, somebody comes and asks for some money, you give him. But milchatchila, from before the fact, don't give charity at night.
That's from
because
Arvit, right?
Yeah, from when the stars go down.
But mincha, it's okay.
Mincha is highly recommended. But once the stars came out and the gvura is stronger, then what happens? The dinim, judgments are becoming stronger, and that can be used against me. So we don't read Tehillim at night. There's certain things that we don't do at night. I mean, if chas v'shalom somebody's sick and there's an emergency, you can read Tehillim. There's the exceptions, but certain things we don't do at night. You don't want to learn certain things at night, and if you do, you want to wait till chatzot. And once, some people still do it till today. Once it was more common, the people will go to sleep at 5, 6 in the evening when it's dark and wake up at midnight and stay up all night. Some people still wake up. It's called tikkun chatzot. They wake up at midnight and they stay up. So, but nevertheless, the gvura, the severity, the judgments become stronger during the night. So also the power of impurity is becoming stronger at night. So it says here, not too good to leave the body, at least that a night will go over it. V'ishtatach bechol ara le'ashkacha, gufa belo nashma lesavale. Now what happens is that the evil spirits, they come down to the world at night when it's dark, and they start like kind of wandering around, and they're looking for a body, to get into the body. Why? To make the body impure. And therefore at night the body becomes even more impure. We'll take a short sidetrack that this all that we're talking about happens to us at night too. When we go to sleep at night, then what happens is your soul leaves the body. The ruach leaves the body. A little piece of the nefesh stays in the body to enliven the nefesh. Our sages explain in the Talmud that sleeping is 60th of a death, because the majority part of the nefesh, ruach, and the shema, they leave the body. Now what happens is, the body is 60th of death on the bed. Now the neshama goes up to the world above, hopefully it goes to the right place, and it goes for a few reasons. First of all, it goes to get charged. Like you charge your phone at the end of the day, the neshama needs to get charged. Why? Because throughout the day, it lost energy. The only reason why you're tired at night is not because you worked hard, because your soul lost energy. Why do you lose energy? Because we sin. If you would not sin, you would not lose energy. That's why you see great tzaddikim, they never sleep. The Arizal didn't sleep. He used to take naps. He used to take like 30 seconds, put his head down and head up. And if you're looking at all the great tzaddikim, they don't sleep. Sleep an hour a night, 2 hours a night, just for whatever tikkun there is. And there's many great tzaddikim that we know that they barely slept. Why? Because they know how to contain their energy. Now imagine I wake up in the morning and I put tefillin on. I'm a nuclear reactor of energy. Can you imagine how much energy, spiritual energy I'm charging the neshama? Now what happens is, a minute after I finish Tfilat Shacharit, I go outside and I say one word of Lashon Hara. All the energy runs out. And we constantly sin, not because we mean people, because we not always know what we're doing or we can't help ourselves. So we lose energy. So by the end of the night, all the energy is down, so I become, so tired. Why are you tired? Because you didn't contain the energy. So we go to sleep and we get hooked into the charger. You wake up in the morning, you're fully charged. If you wake up in the morning and you're not fully charged, it means that at night you didn't go to the right place. You didn't connect. It wasn't the right charger. Some people go to sleep for 8-9 hours. They wake up in the morning, they're more tired than what they went to sleep. That's not good. It means that at night you didn't go to the right place. And your soul was just wandering somewhere in the universe instead of going to the charger and getting fully charged. Another reason why the soul goes up at night is because it has to give an account what it did. So the soul goes up to the heavenly realm. They give the soul a big book, and the soul starts writing its journal. Today I woke up at 7:05, and at 7:06 I brushed my teeth, and at 7:07 I right away checked my phone, and then I did, and it writes everything. Now mainly the soul writes all the good deeds and all the sins that it did. Why? So after 120 years, when you go up to Shamayim, they tell you, you wrote your own book. You testified against yourself. You wrote when you lied, when you cheated, when you slandered. You know how you delete the data? You do tshuva. You come with an eraser and you start wiping off from the book, the memory book. So you go up there to write a journal. Another reason why we go up there, we get subpoenaed by the heavenly court to go and testify against other people or for the favor of other people. And exactly like in this world you get called to the court, same thing in the world above. You go and testify against or for somebody else. And nevertheless, there's many other things that we do at night, but what happens when I leave the body? Exactly what we're reading now. Here it's a full dead body. Here it's 60th of a death. My body is now subject to attack by any type of impurity. What's the remedy or the power to fight it? You say Kriyat Shema Lamita. Kriyat Shema Lamita, bedtime Shema, not saying Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. You read the 4 or 5 pages. It will take you 10 minutes and maybe even 20 if you read it slow with the right intention. But you know what you're doing? You're building a spiritual wall around the body. Look at the Nosach, what you say in Kriyat Shema Lamita. To most of the Sidurim, there's a certain verse that we say, הנה מיתתו של שלמה, 60 גיבורים סביב לה, מגיבורי ישראל, כולם אחוזי חרב. You remember this verse? Here is the bed of Shlomo. And it's surrounded with 60 armed guards, with holding trained mercenaries, or however you call it, soldiers with swords. You know the story with Shlomo HaMelech. One time he was pushing his luck and he got to a confrontation with the head of all the demons, Ashmedai. And he kicked him, there's a story in the Talmud, he kicked him to China, and it took him a couple years to come back and to claim back the body. This demon took over his body. Nevertheless, since then he was very afraid and he would sleep with guards around the bed. But when we do that, we're actually placing guards, spiritual guards around the body, to guard the body. Now what happens if I don't do that? My body at night is a dead corpse, and spirits of impurity, they come into the body. Now imagine just the analogy. Imagine now you have a beautiful mansion and you go on vacation. Normal people, they close the doors, close the windows, put an alarm, put the bars. You don't want anybody breaking into your house. Now imagine you leave the doors open, the windows open, then a bunch of robbers, they come in and they're looking around the house and saying, why instead of taking everything, let's just stay here. Let's just park in here. And then the owner comes into the home. What are you doing here? Well, we decided to take over. So in our world, you call the police. But in the fantasy world now, because we're trying to make an analogy, you can't call the police. Now you have a gang in your home. This is what happens to people at night. They don't guard the body the right way. Spirits come into the body and they decide to stay there. The Talmud gives an example. If you take a barrel and the barrel is full of sand. Now turn the barrel upside down, empty the barrel, then the barrel is empty. But take a barrel full of honey, turn the barrel upside down, let all the honey out. You know what happens? 95% of the honey is out, but the walls of the barrel inside are still full of honey. So what will come? All sorts of cockroaches and flies and maggots and whatever it is. Same thing with me. Take a body that doesn't have a soul in it. Take the simple soul out, then the body's empty. There's nothing to take there. Take a body that did 1 mitzvah, 2 mitzvot, 3 mitzvot. The soul goes out, then the honey is still in the body. So comes all these evil spirits to come and eat from it and to take some of it. Now I come and wake up in the morning, and now I have visitors in my body. And then people start having all sorts of emotional issues, psychological issues, physical issues. They don't understand that something's in the body. Many times I tell people when they have issues, say Kriyat Shema for 40 days straight. Let's see what happens then. I guarantee to you, things will look much, much better. You're not going to have so much nightmares or at all, no anxieties, no fears, no worries. Where do you think it's all coming from? Because my body is subject to an attack at night. So I have to say Kriyat Shema Lamita. And many other things that you do. Of course, you want to have a kosher mezuzah on the door, and many other things. We also take another precaution. According to halacha and according to the Zohar, we're not allowed to walk 4 steps in the morning without washing my hands. And this is not only a halacha, this is, by the way, you can find it as a halacha in Shulchan Aruch, that you're not allowed to take 4 steps in the morning without washing your hands. This is the only time in the entire Shulchan Aruch, the Maran, the Bet Yosef, is quoting a Zohar. The only time that he quotes a Zohar that says that you're not allowed to go 4 steps without. Why? Because the Zohar says that. And a person that walks 4 steps in the morning without washing their hands, the whole day he's impure. That's what the Zohar says. Why? Because when my body is empty, these spirits of impurity, they dwell on the body, they make the body impure. In the morning, the soul comes into the body, the ruach, the neshama, there's nefesh, ruach, neshama. Now, the nefesh is all over the body. The Torah says that the nefesh, ki ha-nefesh hu adam, the nefesh is the blood. How do you know the nefesh is everywhere? Take a needle now, anywhere you'll poke in the body, blood will come out. So we know the nefesh dwells in the blood. How do you kill a person? Take a lot of blood out, the majority of the nefesh will go out of the body, and the person dies. That's what Cain did when he killed Hevel. The Midrash says that he stabbed him 300 times. Why? Because he didn't know where the soul is going to come out from. So the nefesh is in the blood. The ruach is what enlivens the body, but the neshama dwells in the head. I mean, the neshama is also in the body, but we do know that the nefesh goes all the way into the ends of the body. What do we wash in the morning? We wash our hands till the wrist. Why? Because the neshama, when it goes into the body, it comes up to here. The neshama doesn't go into the actual palm. Now also to the legs. At the time of Beit HaMikdash, the Kohanim used to wash their hands and the legs. Why don't we wash our legs now? The legs also have tumah because the neshama will go all the way to here and all the way to the ankle. But the nefesh, when it goes in, the neshama pushes the tumah, the impurity, all the way to the hands and to the feet. So we in our generation, we wash our hands. The reason why we don't wash our feet in our generation and previous generations, the Ben Ish Chai explains that the tum'ah, the impurity that we have on our feet, even if we wash it, it wouldn't help in our generation. That's how strong the impurity is. So even if we want to wash our feet, it will not remove the impurity. That's why to halacha, if you touch your feet, you have to wash your hands. There's certain things, even the Arizal is saying according to halacha, don't walk barefoot anywhere, because the feet is attached to the ground, it's receiving such tum'ah. The Zohar says that if you wake up in the morning and you take 4 steps without washing your hands, you keep the impurity on you, the tumah, but the whole day you tameh. So your thoughts are impure, your speech is impure, your actions is impure, you have a big yetzer hara, all sorts of desires to things that are not so kosher and so forth. So we wake up in the morning, right away we wash our hands. You want to right away bring purity into your home, to your heart, to your body. So what do? We put a bucket next to the bed and a cup next to it, and you wake up in the morning and you wash your hands. Very simple. The Arizal says don't even put your feet on the ground. Do it from the bed. Stay on the bed and wash your hands. Don't even put your feet even on the ground. Now, I heard, there's no actual source for that. But I heard from a great rabbi that once I heard in a class, I never went to ask him if it's a source to that, but I trust this rabbi, and he said, when you go to sleep, you say Kriyat Shema Lamita, it surrounds your body with angels. You have a mezuzah on the door and so forth. But he said, when you put that bucket next to your bed, this bucket itself, imagine an angel standing like this next to your bed with a sword. Nothing comes next to the body because you already prepared the bucket of water for the morning. So, and you want to guard your body at night because you don't even know what comes to the body at night. If you would see what's going on next to the body at night, you wouldn't want to wake up or want to stay sleeping. So this is only when it's 60th of a death when we go to sleep. So much more so when a person dies and it's a dead corpse. So the fourth reason, like we said, why we don't leave the body unattended or not buried, because right away when the body doesn't have a soul, it's an empty body, right away spirits of impurity, they come like sharks. They're smelling for a dead body and they want to use the dead body to dwell there, and that makes the body even more impure, and needless to say, that causes an unbelievable suffering and sorrow for the nefesh, to the soul. Zal Hashem, tomorrow, I thought we'll get a little bit forward. Tomorrow we'll see the connection, how it's affecting, why the Kohanim, why specifically the Torah is talking about the priests, that it's infecting and making the Kohanim impure. How is that connected to us? Because the Kohanim are a minority of the nation. But like I said before, we are all a nation of priests, and it's talking about the importance that we'll do tomorrow. Why to keep myself constantly in a state of purity? Because the second that I'm in a state of impurity, that I'm subject to attack from any type of force of impurity to make me more impure. So imagine right now, you just say a lie, you slander, you say lashon hara, you steal, whatever it is. Right away you bring on yourself this impurity. So right away you're subject to become even more impure by these spirits of impurity. How does that affect you? Then one person it will affect by becoming depressed. Another person it will affect them to become a little bit mentally ill. Another person will affect them to be sick. Another person will affect them to have extremely impure thoughts, angry, and all sorts of anxieties. And it's going to affect the person in many different ways. And then people don't understand. Why do I have anxieties? Why do I have fears? Why do I worry all the time? Why do I have migraines? Whatever it is, I'm just throwing different things. Why? Because first look of what's the level of impurity that you are experiencing. If you experience a lot of impurity, it will affect the person in many different ways. And needless to say, this is not only worrying about how I talk or how I behave. It's also what I eat. It's also what I see. It's also what I listen. So this parasha is coming to tell us. Last week we talked about Parashat Kedoshim, and it says Kedoshim to you, Ki Kadoshim, be holy, sanctify yourself. In this week's parasha we're coming to explain that what will bring this impurity on me, and you don't want to bring on yourself impurity, because the one who suffers from that at the end of the day is you. And a lot of people don't understand why they have all these issues. They don't understand that it's coming only from a place of tum'ah, of impurity, and needless to say that you want to do whatever you can to make sure that it doesn't affect you in any type of way.